Cinnamon. It sits in almost every kitchen cabinet around the world. You sprinkle it on your oatmeal. You stir it into your coffee. You add it to your baking without giving it much thought. But have you ever wondered what actually happens inside your body when you eat cinnamon every day? Not what you might have heard, not the rumors or the quick tips from the internet, what the science actually shows. Because here is something most people do not know. That jar of cinnamon in your kitchen, there is a good chance it is not what you think it is. And understanding this one detail could change how you approach this spice entirely. Humans have been using cinnamon for over 4,000 years. Ancient Egyptians used it for embalming and medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine relied on it for digestive and respiratory ailments. It was once so valuable that wars were fought over control of its trade routes. Explorers risked their lives to find new sources of it. And yet, most people today treat it as nothing more than a flavoring for their morning toast. Today, we are going to walk through exactly what happens when cinnamon enters your body, from your bloodstream to your brain, step by step, based on what research has actually found. Before we begin, a quick note. Everything in this video is for educational purposes. It is not medical advice, and it should not replace guidance from your doctor. Now let us start with something important that most people have never been told. There are two main types of cinnamon sold around the world, and they are not the same. The first is called Ceylon cinnamon. Some people call it true cinnamon. It comes primarily from Sri Lanka. It has a light tan color, thin layers that crumble easily when you touch them, and a delicate, slightly sweet flavor with subtle complexity. The second is called Cassia cinnamon. This is the type you will find in most grocery stores across North America and Europe. It has a darker reddish-brown color, thick and hard bark that does not break easily, and a stronger, more intense flavor. Most people have never even heard of this distinction. They assume cinnamon is cinnamon. The labels rarely help. Most products simply say cinnamon without specifying which type. Here is why this matters. Cassia cinnamon contains something called coumarin. Coumarin is a natural compound found in many plants. In small amounts, it is not a problem at all. Your body handles it without any issues. But if you eat large amounts of cassia cinnamon every single day for a long time, the coumarin can accumulate. Over weeks and months of heavy daily use, this buildup can potentially put stress on your liver. Ceylon cinnamon contains almost no coumarin. The difference is dramatic. Cassia has about 250 times more coumarin than Ceylon. Some laboratory analyses have found even higher differences depending on the source. So what does this mean for you in practical terms? If you only use cinnamon occasionally, adding a little to your food here and there, maybe a few times a week, cassia is perfectly fine. The amounts are small enough that most people have nothing to worry about. But if you want to eat cinnamon every day to take advantage of its health benefits, if you plan to make it a consistent part of your routine, Ceylon is the safer choice for regular use. How do you tell them apart when shopping? Look for labels that say Ceylon True Cinnamon or the scientific name Cinnamomum verum. Ceylon is usually sold in specialty stores or online. If the label just says cinnamon with no other details, it is almost certainly cassia. You can also tell by looking at cinnamon sticks. Ceylon sticks have many thin paper-like layers rolled together and crumble easily. Cassia sticks are thick, hard, and made of a single rolled layer. The good news is this. Once you know which type to choose, cinnamon becomes one of the safest and most beneficial spices you can add to your daily routine. The concern applies mainly to heavy, prolonged cassia use. Now that you understand the difference, let us look at what cinnamon actually does inside your body. The first thing that happens involves something called antioxidants. Let me explain this simply. Every day, just through the normal process of living and breathing, your body produces molecules called free radicals. These are unstable molecules that can damage your cells over time. Think of it like rust slowly building up on metal, or the way an apple turns brown after you cut it open. That browning is oxidation, and something similar happens inside your body. Antioxidants help neutralize these free radicals before they can cause damage. They protect your cells from this gradual deterioration. The more antioxidants you consume, the more protection you provide your cells. And here is where cinnamon becomes remarkable. Scientists measure the antioxidant power of foods using something called an ORAC score. ORAC stands for oxygen radical absorbance capacity. The higher the score, the more antioxidants a food contains. Blueberries are famous for their antioxidants. People call them a superfood. They have an ORAC score of about 6,500. Cinnamon has an ORAC score of about 267,000. Let that sink in for a moment. Cinnamon has roughly 40 times more antioxidant power than blueberries gram for gram. It is one of the most antioxidant-dense substances ever measured. Now, you obviously do not eat 100 grams of cinnamon at a time. But this shows how concentrated those protective compounds are. This means just one small teaspoon of cinnamon delivers a substantial dose of antioxidants. You do not need to eat a lot to get this benefit. Consistency matters more than quantity, but antioxidants are just the beginning. Cinnamon does something else in your body that is equally important. Let us talk about inflammation. Inflammation is your body's natural response to injury or infection. When you cut your finger, the area gets red warm and swollen. That is inflammation doing its job. It helps you heal. But sometimes, inflammation happens quietly inside your body without any obvious injury or infection. This is called chronic inflammation. It can persist for months or years without you noticing any symptoms. You cannot see it. You cannot feel it. But it is there, simmering in the background. Research over the past 2 decades has connected chronic inflammation to many serious health problems. Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, accelerated aging, even cognitive decline. Scientists now believe this hidden inflammation plays a role in almost every major disease of aging. Cinnamon contains compounds that can help reduce inflammatory signals in your body. The main active compound, called cinnamaldehyde, has been shown to block certain pathways that trigger inflammation at the cellular level. Studies show that people who consume cinnamon regularly tend to have lower levels of C-reactive protein, one of the key markers doctors use to measure inflammation in the body. This does not mean cinnamon is a cure for anything, but adding it to your daily routine may help keep chronic inflammation in check. Over time, that consistent effect could make a meaningful difference. And this is where things get even more interesting. Cinnamon does something with your blood sugar that very few other foods can do. Let me walk you through this step by step, because understanding the mechanism helps you see why cinnamon is so remarkable. When you eat food, especially carbohydrates, your body breaks it down into glucose, a type of sugar that enters your bloodstream. This is completely normal. It is how your body gets energy. Your body uses a hormone called insulin to manage this blood sugar. Insulin is produced by your pancreas, and its job is to move glucose from your blood into your cells, where it can be used for energy. Think of insulin as a key. Your cells have doors on them, and insulin is the key that opens those doors. When insulin arrives, the doors open and glucose enters the cells. For many people, this process works smoothly. But for some people, this process does not work as well as it should. Their cells do not respond to insulin properly. The key goes into the lock, but the door does not open easily. Glucose stays in the bloodstream instead of entering the cells. Blood sugar levels stay elevated. This is a problem that affects millions of people around the world. Here is what cinnamon does. First, it helps your cells respond better to insulin. The research shows that compounds in cinnamon improve what scientists call insulin sensitivity. The doors open more easily. Glucose moves from your blood into your cells more efficiently. Second, cinnamon slows down the breakdown of carbohydrates in your digestive system. Normally, starches get broken down into sugar, quickly causing blood sugar to spike after meals. Cinnamon slows this process. Sugar enters your bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. Third, cinnamon supports the actual transport mechanisms that move glucose into cells. The research on this is substantial. A study from the United States Department of Agriculture found that just half a teaspoon of cinnamon per day led to improvements in blood sugar markers ranging from 18 to 29%. A large analysis combining 16 different clinical trials confirmed that cinnamon significantly reduces fasting blood sugar and improves how the body responds to insulin. For anyone concerned about blood sugar, this is important information. Cinnamon is not a replacement for medication or a healthy diet, but it can be a valuable addition to an overall strategy. And cinnamon does not stop there. It also affects another vital organ. Let us talk about your heart. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death worldwide. Several factors contribute to heart health: blood pressure, cholesterol levels, triglycerides, how well blood flows through your vessels, inflammation, blood sugar. Notice something. We have already discussed several of these. A major analysis published in 2024 reviewed 49 clinical trials on cinnamon and cardiovascular health. The findings were notable. Cinnamon was shown to help reduce triglycerides, a type of fat in your blood. High triglycerides are associated with increased heart disease risk. It helped support healthy blood pressure levels. It helped maintain a better balance between LDL cholesterol and HDL cholesterol. Cinnamon also appears to help blood vessels relax and expand, improving circulation throughout your body. Now think about what we have covered. Cinnamon helps reduce oxidative stress through its antioxidants. It calms inflammation. It supports healthy blood sugar and improves insulin sensitivity. And it supports multiple aspects of cardiovascular health. These are not separate effects happening in isolation. They are connected. Inflammation affects blood sugar. Blood sugar affects heart health. Oxidative stress damages blood vessels. Everything influences everything else. This is why cinnamon is so fascinating. It is not doing just one thing. It is supporting multiple interconnected systems simultaneously. But perhaps the most surprising effect of cinnamon happens somewhere most people never think about: your brain. This is something very few people have heard about. And the research, while still in earlier stages, is genuinely fascinating. As we age, our brains can accumulate certain proteins that should not be there. These proteins clump together, forming what scientists call plaques and tangles. Over time, these buildups are associated with memory problems, cognitive decline, and the inability to think clearly. This is one of the hallmarks of conditions like Alzheimer's disease. Researchers have discovered something unexpected. Compounds in cinnamon may help prevent these problematic proteins from clumping together in the first place. The main compound in cinnamon, cinnamaldehyde, has been shown in laboratory studies to inhibit the formation of tau protein tangles. Another compound, epicatechin, appears to have similar protective effects against amyloid beta plaques. There is something else that happens when you eat cinnamon. Your body metabolizes it and produces a substance called sodium benzoate. Sodium benzoate can cross what is called the blood-brain barrier, the protective layer that prevents most substances from entering your brain. In animal studies, this compound has been shown to support brain function in remarkable ways. Mice that consumed cinnamon extract showed significant improvements in learning and memory. In one study, mice classified as poor learners became good learners after cinnamon treatment. I want to be clear about something important. Most of this brain research has been done in laboratories or in animals. We need more studies in humans to fully understand these effects. But the early findings are promising. Researchers are now planning human clinical trials specifically focused on cinnamon and cognitive function. The idea that a simple spice in your kitchen might help protect the very organ that makes you who you are is remarkable. In a world where cognitive decline affects millions of families, any potential layer of protection is worth paying attention to. So we have covered what cinnamon does inside your body. Now let us talk about how to use it to get the most benefit. First, which cinnamon should you buy? For daily use, Ceylon cinnamon is your best choice. Look for labels that say Ceylon True Cinnamon or Cinnamomum Verum. It costs a bit more, but it is safer for regular consumption because of its very low coumarin content. If you cannot find Ceylon, using Cassia in moderate amounts is still beneficial. Just keep your intake to less than 1 teaspoon per day if using it regularly over long periods. And remember this, do not let perfect be the enemy of good. If cassia is all you have, using it occasionally is still far better than not using cinnamon at all. You will still get benefits. Second, what should you eat? Cinnamon with cinnamon pairs well with healthy fats. Adding it to oatmeal with nuts or coffee with cream may help absorption. Some active compounds in cinnamon are fat-soluble. Cinnamon also works wonderfully with turmeric. These two spices appear to complement each other for reducing inflammation. You can add cinnamon to smoothies, yogurt, warm milk, or any dishes you enjoy. Third, how much should you use? The amount used in most research is about half to 1 teaspoon per day. That is roughly 2 to 4 grams. Here are simple ideas. Sprinkle it on your morning coffee grounds before brewing. Stir it into oatmeal or cereal. Blend it into smoothies. Add it to baked salt goods. Make cinnamon tea by steeping a cinnamon stick in hot water for 10 minutes. Heat does not destroy the beneficial compounds. Cooking with cinnamon still delivers the benefits. One more thing about safety. If you take diabetes medication, cinnamon might enhance the effects. Monitor your blood sugar and talk to your doctor. If you take blood-thinning medications, the coumarin in cassia could interact with them. Ceylon is the safer choice. Pregnant women should avoid large therapeutic doses, though normal cooking amounts are generally fine. So after everything we have explored, what is the verdict? Cinnamon is not just a spice that makes your food taste good. It is one of the most antioxidant-rich substances on the planet. It helps calm chronic inflammation, the silent process linked to major diseases of aging. It supports stable blood sugar through multiple mechanisms. It protects your cardiovascular system. And it may be helping protect your brain in ways scientists are only beginning to understand. All of this from something that probably costs a few dollars and is already sitting in your kitchen. The key is choosing the right type and using it consistently. Which of these benefits surprised you the most? Was it the antioxidant power, the effects on blood sugar, or the potential to protect your brain? Let me know in the comments below. If someone you know is concerned about blood sugar or interested in supporting their brain health as they age, share this video with them. They might not know about the Ceylon and Cassia difference. Subscribe to this channel to discover more about what really happens inside your body when you eat. And now that you understand what cinnamon does, there is another spice that works remarkably well alongside it. Its effects on inflammation and brain health might change how you think about your spice cabinet entirely. That video is coming soon. Thank you for watching.